equilibrium when there is an increase in demand. To find out, we draw ourselves a new demand curve, and we'll label that demand curve. So if we look at the old equilibrium, using the original demand curve and original supply curve, we can see that the equilibrium quantity was sitting at 120 and the equilibrium price was $80. Now, factoring in the increase in demand, we can see equilibrium has moved to out here. So let's just mark our new equilibrium just there and have a look at what's happened. It's fairly obvious. You can see here that what's happened to price is our new equilibrium price is set at 100, so price has gone up, and our new equilibrium quantity has also expanded to 140. So if we're wanting to ask the question, what happens to equilibrium when there is an increase in demand, it's fairly clear that the first thing is there's going to be an increase in price. The second thing is there's an increase in quantity. So the next thing to ask is what's going to happen to equilibrium when there is a decrease in demand. So again, a decrease in demand is going to be a shift to the left, and we would remember many of the things, all the non-price factors that could cause such a shift. Let me just make that line a little bit thicker. Okay, so we have our new demand curve that's moved over to the left. We'll label our new demand curve. Demand 2. Our old equilibrium here is still 120 for quantity at an $80 price. Our new equilibrium, however, is now sitting around here. This time, the price is, well, close to $60, and the quantity has contracted because it's along the supply curve. The supply curve hasn't moved, we've just moved along, but the whole demand curve has moved. So the new equilibrium is now sitting here. So quantity has now moved, the equilibrium has now moved, with the quantity contracting to 100 and the new price equilibrium of, say, $60. So if we look back, we can see that when there has been an increase in demand, equilibrium price will increase, equilibrium quantity will also expand. When there's been a decrease in demand, the opposite will happen. Equilibrium price comes down, equilibrium quantity contracts. So notice that for any change in demand, the effects, the what happens next part, price and quantity move in the same direction. So increase in demand, increase price, increase quantity. Decrease in demand, decrease price, decrease quantity. Fairly easy to remember. But the thing is, when we start to think about increases in supply, it changes a little. Things don't move in the same direction then. And we're going to have a look at that now. So now we're going to look at what happens when there's an increase in supply. So we'll start by drawing our new supply curve. So here's our original one, S1. There's been an increase in supply, so we need to go out, moving to the right. And we'll label that here. So there's our new curve. We've moved from this equilibrium price of 80 and equilibrium quantity of 120 to this one here now. This is our new equilibrium just here. And let's look at the effects of this increase in supply. Let's check out what's happened. So first we'll look at what's happened to price. Well, we can see that that has decreased. What's happened to quantity? Well, that's increased. So they've moved in opposite directions. Why has that happened? Well, we've increased the supply, but demand... Okay, so first of all, demand has expanded. And the reason demand has expanded is because consumers are responding to a drop in price. What could have caused that drop in price? Well, that drop in price could have been a reaction to something that has increased supply. So if we think about it from a firm's perspective, we've moved from supply 1 to supply 2. Why would we increase supply? Perhaps the costs of production have become cheaper. The fact that we've been able as businesses or firms to reduce our prices reduce our costs means that we can pass on the reduction in prices to our consumers. And the demand curve, which always existed here, means that we are able to offer it at $60 now. So there's been an expansion over to, let's say, 140 units because of the reduction in price. So we now have a new equilibrium that's been formed that sits here. So this is our new equilibrium quantity, our new equilibrium price. Price has come down, quantity has expanded. So not moving in the same direction. An increase in supply reduces price, increases the quantity supplied. So the last thing we'll look at is the effect on equilibrium when there has been a decrease in supply. So here's our supply curve, and there's been a decrease, which means it's moved to the left. So we'll draw our new supply curve in here, being left of the original, and we'll label that. Our new supply curve. So here is our new equilibrium, just over here. So our new equilibrium price and quantity again show opposite moves. We can see that what's happened here is that from the old price, we've moved up, so price has increased for equilibrium, but quantity has decreased. So there have been moves in opposite directions, and we'll just mark those as our new equilibrium prices and quantities. So here's our new equilibrium price, and here is our new equilibrium quantity. Up price, down quantity, opposites. So these notes will be made available to you now, but just so that you know, increase in demand, price and quantity move in the same direction for the new equilibrium. Decrease in demand, again, demand related, price and quantity move in the same direction, down and in. For changes in supply, how they affect equilibrium, they're going to have opposite effects. So an increase in supply will increase the quantity and reduce the price. Decrease in supply will decrease the quantity and increase the price. So my little summary here of the conditions with a really good YouTube link for you to follow, which will be in this document. So increase in demand, increase in equilibrium price, increase equilibrium quantity. Decrease in demand, decrease equilibrium price, decrease equilibrium quantity. Say that fast 10 times. Increase in supply, decreased price, increased quantity, decreased supply, increased price, decreased quantity. Until next time.